It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. And Tim, I'm going to guess it's pitch black, just like you look at me right now, because it's a picture of Don Lemon being extradited to a black hole. Am I right about this? Or?
Well, you're close.
All right, I figured.
I'm at the Hennepin County lockup. I thought there was going to be some breaking news, but no. It would appear,
there we go.
There was a little mix-up in the paperwork.
All right. That was pretty much on point there. For those of you who can't see, it's prison bars, and behind that there's a gigantic lemon. Very nice. Yeah.
Turns out there's another assignment that Don Lemon can refuse.
There we go, boy. Tim Slagle certainly knows Bruce Wolf mania trivia. Of course, Don Lemon reportedly refused 2 assignments when he was at Channel 5. And when I was at Channel 5, I even did the weather, even though nobody has, not the weather, the traffic, even though nobody has a TV in their car, because they told me to do it. All right. But that's the difference between me and Don Lemon. And we'll get, to Don Lemon, in a little bit, a little tease there, and what happened with him in Minneapolis. But now that the bear season is over, I can turn my attention to Greenland. One good thing about doing a show, once a week like we do it, it's not granular. We don't watch every single step along the way, and it reminds me of something that Jerry Reinsdorf once said, which is that don't do today what you can put off till tomorrow, because the problem might take care of itself in the meantime. And it just seems like there was
Greenland went into overtime as well.
Yeah. So right. So I haven't been following this as closely as I should, but are we at this point that there was a compromise where Greenland's bases would be we get sovereignty over the bases
and resources and some of the resources
and I don't know if this constitutes Trump backpedaling or whatever. Does he have to give back the Nobel Prize that he got?
Greenland's kind of a lot like Florida in the fact that the people only live at a very thin ribbon along the edge.
Sure.
And
there's like 50,000 people there.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, you can keep them, Denmark.
Speaking of populations, remember Tucker Carlson quizzed Ted Cruz, who didn't know how many people were in Iran. Of course, there were 90 million. And of course, that supposedly disqualified him. I see that Joe Rogan, who did not win a Golden Globe podcast award, was asked by somebody who was very friendly with him on the show, an Israeli, how many Jews he thought were in the world. And he said 1 billion. And then he knocked it down to 500 million when there's actually like 15 million and fewer than there were before the Holocaust. And I can understand it, because half of those billion are in Hollywood and the other half own the banks. I understand that. But we always loom a little bit larger. But more on Joe Rogan in a little bit.
Well, which podcast did win the Golden Globe?
I think it was Amy Poehler's.
Oh.
And the interesting thing about Amy Poehler, of course, she was, I believe, sitting on the set of Seth Meyers' show when he credulously interviewed Joe Biden. Right before it all tanked for Biden, and was throwing softballs to him, and she was like a cheerleader for that. So if anybody should win an award, it's Amy Poehler for being as stupid as Howard Stern. So
if podcasts that nobody listens to can get a Golden Globe, how come we weren't in the running?
I still think we're in the top 3 million. But anyway, and I hate to do the weather because I know that people see us whenever, but Monday was a day off for a lot of people, Martin Luther King's holiday, and we're taping this on Thursday. Friday is a day off for a lot of people because of the weather. I'm thinking,
oh my gosh, you're still doing the weather.
There we go.
You really want Channel 5 to
you
bring
can't
you
kick,
back, please.
You can't
I'll
kick
do
a habit
weather.
like that.
I'll do weather.
Well, what do you think I'm doing this podcast? Just in case a broadcasting opportunity breaks out, and I've got my HD makeup in my briefcase. Have I ever shown you? Oh, I don't have it right here. I still have some publicity photos from Channel 5.
Wow.
And I haven't been there in quite a while. But I was thinking, since we bookend the Martin Luther King holiday at the beginning of the week with the freezing and everybody with the day off at the end of the week, the hybrid could be the "I had a dreamsicle" speech. What do you think of that? Anyway,
A lot of people, Minnesota, or at least Minneapolis, they're having to take the day off work. They're asking everybody to not go into work to protest ICE tomorrow.
Well, but that they don't have the weather problems that we were.
Oh,
in.
no, they do. They do.
Oh, they do.
The high tomorrow is 10 below. That will be
10
the high.
below.
Real 10. Real 10. No wind chill 10 below. Real 10 below.
No, but real 10 below, but with the wind chill even worse, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me of when
Minnesota, they don't have to do the wind chill to make it look bad. It just is.
I think there should, in addition to the wind chill, I came up with something where I think it's actually feels colder when it's dark out. Okay. And I would call that the void. In
The void.
even though the temperature wouldn't be technically be cooler, and it wouldn't be cooler because of the wind, just because it's dark, there should be a factor.
The dark chill. Call it the dark
chill. I thought it would be the void, but I'm ready to spitball on this one. So anyway,
start saying that predicting the void, it's going to get a little creepy. Some people.
We started this.
Some people are going to kill themselves over that.
Yeah, well, we started by me guessing that Don Lemon had been extradited to a black hole. So trying to keep the theme going here. So anyway, as far as Greenland goes, so it seems like that's been taken care of. Am I right about that?
It would seem. It would.
Yeah.
It's Trump's kind of going, you guys fell for that military action thing.
Apparently. Now, Chris at the top of the rundown had Davos put in there, and that to me is like a stew of a lot of things. Chris, was there something specific there that was it Gavin Newsom making an ass of himself?
Breaking news show, and on top of everything, I assumed something would happen by the time I put that rundown out, and today that Trump may have said something or something would have happened.
I see. Actually today, I've got to tell you, the podcast that I crib from all the time, the commentary podcast, I didn't even listen to the whole thing because it was really slow. They were talking about Rahm Emanuel's proposal that no federal legislator be allowed to serve past the age of 75, which dovetails very nicely with his brother Zeke's view that everybody should be dead by the age of 75, if you recall. So, but they were talking about that, and they were talking about the 2028 election. I'm sorry. I know, we're a full year into Trump's term, but I can't get that excited about talking about 2028. I'm barely through with the Bears season yet. So
skip over the midterms.
Well, I didn't skip over the midterms. They're coming up, if we could talk about what happened in Virginia, where Spanberger, whatever her name is, she ran as a moderate, and then she immediately comes in the legislature, which is Democratic in both houses now, coming up with all these ridiculous proposals. Just this side of, you will wear your underwear on the outside now, and the national language is Swedish, and we'll see if she vetoes any of those bills. She's, so we got that. The Democrats lying is saying that they're moderates and in the run up to the election, and then of course changing. Whereas Trump, I got to say this about Trump: he basically he does what he says he was going to do, and part of what he says he's going to do is just drive people crazy. So, but if we do do a show once a week, things kind of settle down, and pretty soon they're just talking about 2028 and not so much about Trump today. I would think that Trump really has to get back in the headlines somehow. I don't know how that's
the midterms are kind of like the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
to the presidential, aren't they?
Yeah.
They kind of have that feel. It's like, yeah, there's still gold medals, but it's just not as big of a
No,
deal.
it's not that big a deal. Did you see and Chris had penciled this in for a little bit later, but I'm calling an audible right here. These ski jumpers apparently
Have been tucking.
They've been tucking. They've been injecting themselves with some kind of drug that
they're
makes
actually
their package bigger, which helps their aerodynamic lift. Yeah.
I just thought they were tucking.
Oh, okay. No, you would think tucking would be what
there
they
was
do.
There was that pole vaulter. Was that the last Olympics? That pole vaulter that kind of snagged the the bar on the way over.
Speaking of poles, yeah,
right. You don't remember that? It was a big deal. He would have cleared it if he had not been excited.
Exactly.
So,
there you go.
So I kind of understand that with the ski jump.
Yeah, but they don't. No, they were trying to apparently making it bigger was better for some reason. And I don't understand that. I don't understand aerodynamics.
Oh, so they weren't tucking. I thought they were smoothing. That's what they were.
No,
doing.
you would think that would be the thing, but apparently that helped them by getting a little bit bigger. It helps with the lift off the ski. The ski jump could be different from slalom.
That does not seem to
Hey, I've
coincide with my knowledge of aerodynamics,
right.
Because
let's
the curvatures on the top of the wing is how you get the lift.
Let's get back real quickly
to Davos.
I think Trump, he's had this big battle with NATO and was threatening NATO and the alliance and all that. All you have to do is rename NATO Trump, right? Just no, and it'll be fine.
What would it stand for?
Who? Yeah, exactly. Well, T would be treaty, and T rump. That's all. And the rest of them,
the reciprocating.
Yeah, united,
masticating party
peons. Yeah, don't worry, we'll figure it out and get over this snafu in just a second. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that they were talking about the Nobel Peace Prize and Trump was threatening Norway, and the government isn't the one that actually hands out the award, but the Nobel Peace Prize is a total joke. So why shouldn't Trump joke about it? As a matter of fact, the aforementioned Rahm Emanuel actually chewed out the Norwegian ambassador when they gave the Peace Prize to Barack Obama because he hadn't done anything. He was given it for existing. And it is a joke.
Not exactly. He was given it because I thought because he was the recognition factor that racism no longer existed in America. That there's no way a black man could be president if it was still a racist country. And
what does that have to do with peace?
Well, because he
the Civil War is finally over.
He was a symbol. He was a symbol of peace in America. Yeah, that's what I thought.
That sounds. I think he was given it because he exists. That's why. Which it's not. Well, it's not wrong.
Either way, it was a participation trophy. Absolutely.
Yeah. No question about it. All right. Let us move on here to.
Well, I saw in the rundown that we have Rahm Emanuel on ice. So are we going to see a triple axel?
Well, that my former partner Dan Proft called him Mayor Tiny Dancer because he does have those moves. He absolutely does. So, but Don Lemon, who is celebrated in your background today, found himself in Minnesota just as a journalist covering a riot that he was part of. They broke into a church.
Well, he actually, before the riot, he said, I'm going to have to shut off the camera now because they're discussing some secret information. It's like, I'm going to turn off the camera and the microphone because there's a real news story about to happen.
I guess so. So he goes in with this group, and it's the perfect thing because we love to talk about Don Lemon. We love to talk about Minnesota. I was just wondering, and I don't, want to spoil Landman for you, but is it possible that Michelle Randolph's roommate in Landman was part of the riot, the incursion in the church over the weekend? But the question is going to be whether Don Lemon can be arrested, and apparently he can be arrested, but he might have a decent First Amendment defense, even though there is a law that protects abortion mills as well as churches. That you got to let people have their space there, but maybe it's unconstitutional to allow people to have their space.
Well, I'm going to get a little more. I'm going to get a little more word of the day granular on this. What happens when a magistrate refuses to sign the arrest warrant? I
wonder if you can appeal that because
can you?
All you need is probable cause. I mean, it doesn't mean they're guilty, of violating of the statute. I mean, that they're arrested under this statute, which protects, like I say, the privacy of people in abortion centers as well as churches. The question is whether that's constitutional. But as far as the arrest goes, as my pal Andy McCarthy says, they just issuing the warrant for the arrest does not mean that Don Lemon is guilty. Of this, and the statute could be unconstitutional. So let's see it play out.
But how does it work? That's what
I wonder.
Can you magistrate shop? Can you go to another magistrate and say,
or appeal the magistrate's decision?
I have no idea how that works. But you've
got.
Do
I look like an attorney to you? So.
Do you have to have a signed warrant before you can proceed with an arrest?
I think you needed a warrant for his arrest. I think you did. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, Matt, I remind you that we're just taking the broad view of things. This is not granular.
Well,
it would have been nice if you told me that this was an open book test. I could have looked these things up while we were talking.
I'm just wondering if that's the end of it, or if there's still a chance that they can find, do magistrates operate in certain districts? So they have, boy, yeah, we should get an attorney on the show.
Yeah, well, you know what? And while we're at it, let's get somebody to recite the names of all 10,000 lakes in Minnesota. Well, while we're doing that, it'll work itself out. Let's move on because I'm only as good as about a Twitter or a tweet or two about any particular subject, and you went too deep on that. You went into a deep cut for and good questions. Absolutely, I'll get back to you in 28 days with a response, Your Honor.
First, I have a question.
Yes,
I'll circle back on that.
Is there any chance in the world that Don Lemon in his young, cocky state would ever accept the assignment to go to Minnesota in freezing weather to cover the protests?
Now, that's a good question.
Zero chance.
No, I think as long as it conformed with his ideological priors, and so I think he would have
leaped
at that opportunity.
No, I disagree.
Okay,
he was no weather channel soldier.
Oh, right. He wouldn't have. He look,
honest 10 below high. Tomorrow.
First of all, I mean, it was an old Steve Dahl bit that to have people out there, covering the cold, to show how cold they could be. My good friend Nancy Liu on Channel 9 a few years ago, they had her in a live shot in one of these really cold days. And she said that he was yelling at people, stay inside. And, then they were all laughing in the studio. It was funny to a point, but if they were truly irreverent on Channel 9, they wouldn't have even sent her out there. I mean, we've got to send a reporter out there to see how cold it could be for the reporter. If they did it nowadays, if Sam Kinison were still alive, we'd send Walter Jacobson out there. don't remember this bit, but Walter Jacobson was a great newsman at one point who pretended to be a homeless guy. And his famous line was, "I'm really, really miserable," as he was walking around being shot by a camera, for a few days or whatever out on the streets. But if Sam Kinison were alive, Sam would see Walter Jacobson out there in the street in the cold right now, and he'd say, "Let him into the van." Just let him into the van right now. So there you go.
Yeah, well, that's the whole premise of the Survivor show. Yeah. Is give them a sandwich.
Right. Keep seeing these commercials for Survivor 50. Well, it hasn't been around 50 years. What do they have, like two a year? Is that how it works? Little point of information. You can look that one up too while you're looking up.
But you have to admire the commitment of the contestants of Survivor that don't tackle the cameramen and make a run for the catering
right,
table.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I understand that. All right, so moving on. There was a Variety story that Barry Weiss, who's heading up CBS right now, is alienating people at CBS. Yeah, 10 people familiar with the workings of CBS News say the Paramount Skydance unit is veering toward dysfunction with the management team led by Barry Weiss. Yeah, CBS's ratings have been in the tank for a long, long time. That's what happens when you bring somebody in. They're going to shake things up a little bit. Now, because of the cutbacks, there's been some cutbacks. Gayle King how much money do you think Gayle King had been making for the CBS Morning News, which nobody watches? How much do you think she was making a year?
Roughly as much as Oprah has in her Coach bag.
It's probably
the same amount.
15 million a year. And also, because of the cutbacks, journalists are being told to ask only who, what, where, when, and why, but not how anymore. They can't afford to have somebody ask the fifth of the quintet of
W's. Well, CBS News has always felt that they've been above television. It's a standard thing. It's like, well, make a profit. No. We're the news division. We don't.
We're not supposed to. That would be unseemly for us to make a profit.
No. We're not here to gain viewers.
Would have hurt so much when Walter Cronkite, when he's announcing Kennedy's assassination, took off his glasses, but also that there was an STP logo like right above.
Either that, or if you were to say, "Oh, right now I have an Excedrin headache."
There you go. Yeah, or at that point, like Anison would have been it. Hey, real quickly here, did you see the most interesting man in the world is coming back from the Dos Equis? Sales of Dos Equis, as well as a lot of alcohol, has gone down in the United States. A lot of it has gone down for Dos Equis because ICE is in the neighborhood of Hispanics, and they're not partying as much and drinking as much Dos Equis. So I was thinking, maybe the most interesting man, who's been gone for like 10 years, could say, "I don't often host a party when ICE is in the neighborhood, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis." And I was trying to think of those Dos Equis slogans, which I always loved. Didn't you like those commercials back then? Do you recall them?
He's the most interesting man in the world.
But the things that he did that nobody else could do.
I don't remember.
And I thought of a current one that they can use gratis. Siri asks him for directions. Yeah, how about that? I like that one. All right, Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. We should issue a correction, as soon as possible here. I had said on the last segment that they brought back the most interesting man in the world from Dos Equis, in part because the ICE raids had chilled, as it were, the partying of Mexican Americans. And so they weren't selling as much Dos Equis for parties. But Chris, you would demur on that whole assertion, wouldn't you?
Obviously this isn't this isn't a heavy fact, but I know that I hang around plenty of Latino and specifically Mexican folks, and I don't see any of them drink
That
Dos
would be
Equis.
Latinx. That would be Latinx. But
And they,
I'm sorry. So,
and
but
they,
they
and
don't
none
drink
of them
Dos
like
Equis.
being called Latinx or Latinx. They think that's a stupid quote unquote güero thing that they never would use because their language is obviously gender specific.
Right.
Do they, now that we're investigating this, do they like Taco Bell, or is,
Who doesn't like Taco Bell?
I'm asking,
I stumbled upon there's a thing called there's a YouTube channel where they have different nationalities eat other people's food, and they quote unquote made white people tacos for people from Mexico.
Yeah.
And they all love. They say, "Why would we not like this? This is delicious." So they thought that like the hard shell taco is the fake American taco. They were like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with this. This is delicious."
It's great. And I'm sure Chinese like Chinese food, which is made in America. I totally get that. All right. Well, moving on.
It was all Chinese food was based on the Trader Vic's menu originally.
Is that true? Is that a fact?
More or less, yeah. Yes, Trader Vic invented a lot of these things to seem exotic, and people thought they were authentic Chinese. So every Chinese restaurant started serving them. Because all the menus were printed by the same place in San Francisco for every Chinese restaurant in America, so they were all the same. A number 59 in San Francisco is a number 59 in Boston.
I love the universality of that.
Yeah.
One nation under Chinese food. So, I should mention, we were talking about CBS News, and apparently last Sunday they had a 60 Minutes show where they finally showed that CCOT prison story that was controversial, but they ran it up against the NFL playoffs, so the ratings were awful, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Barry Weiss deliberately tanked this special." Yes, 60 Minutes earns putrid audience against NFL playoffs as intended. All I can say is tit for tat. That Tom Brokaw made sure that the Juanita Broderick piece that was done by I want to say Katie Myers, I forgot her name exactly, that aired on a Friday night, in the dead time. And when MoveOn.org said, let's forget about this Clinton stuff. So the Juanita Broderick thing was deep sixed, as it were, to Dateline NBC on a Friday night.
Well, the rumor is, by the way, that Hillary asked for a VHS copy of that interview because she was not she didn't see it live. So she had one of her aides get a VHS copy, and she brought it to her, and she watched it. If you remember, there was a family vacation that year in Aspen.
Oh, is this going to end with a lamp being thrown in?
No,
the rest of the story.
That wasn't just a lamp; that was an ashtray. And it wasn't like a little one like you steal from the Holiday Inn. No, it was like one of those big ones that they put by the elevator.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like that.
And that's Bill had to leave. Bill had to leave early for important business in Washington. The family vacation was and he had a bandage on.
But what's great is that apparently the Clintons are back together again, defying Congress. In contempt of Congress. So that's good. That's sweet.
Well, I have a feeling that they're going to get them to testify apart so that they can work one against the other, see which one ends up in jail.
So we were talking about Rahm Emanuel on ice before, and yes, he could do triple axel. But what he had said was in his run for president right now is that ice he was complaining about these guys with masks on marauding through neighborhoods. And, I was just thinking, if only a mask could have hid Rahm from scrutiny over Laquan McDonald. But they're wearing the masks because they don't want to be doxxed. That's why.
And it's so funny. It's the same people were complaining about masks a few years ago, but it was the opposite.
Right.
They didn't like people not wearing them.
So Yeah, Joe Rogan didn't get the I believe it was a Golden Globe Podcast Award. Amy Poehler got it. Despite his popularity, I mean, Amy Poehler, I don't know where she ranks, but she's closer to us probably than she is to Joe Rogan, who has the most popular podcast in the world.
The Golden Globe, that's the Foreign Press Awards, right?
Yeah, I think so.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's 42nd. Is that right? Okay. Well, that's not bad. Anyway, but you know what this reminds me of? The Joe Rogan reminds me of in second grade. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Taking you back now, Tim. When everyone in class had to write a story for the school newspaper, and mine which was replete with names such as Private Knucklehead and General Stinky Face, or names like that. I got 14 votes. I could still see the tally on the blackboard. And the next closest got 2 votes. And it turns out that the 2 story got into the school newspaper and mine didn't. And when I found out about that, I was choking back tears at my desk. And Mrs. Rotman had to come over and console me. And it was then that I vowed to make a career out of ad hominem. And
wow.
So, yeah, that's the hurt. That's the hurt that you feel. So I understand Joe Rogan feeling like he was slighted. Right there. You're the most popular kid, and they shun you. It's similar to Trump not winning the Nobel Peace Prize. No, I get it. I get it all. Hey, I got a new iPhone, and I got to tell you that Siri, I don't know how to put this delicately. She says,
well, you better make sure the phone's turned off before you go any further, because I'm sure when you just said her name, her ears perked up.
They're burning.
Why don't we call her, for the sake of this, when your phone is nearby, let's call her Alexa.
Exactly. Oh, you're double timing me, 2-timing me, double timing. Well, I don't know how to put this delicately. The new one, she sounds slightly bitchy. It's just a mild sharpness. I'm pretty sure Gene Steratore, the NFL rules consultant on the broadcast, could tell the difference. It's now like, do you really need directions from the drugstore back to your house, you idiot? Or do you just want my company? No, it's just
with the amount of prescriptions you take, Bruce, you need directions back from the drugstore.
Right. It's just it's moderate, but I'm telling you, there is a difference.
Huh?
And I wonder if others ever notice that difference too. You can make the voice anything you want.
Well, I upgraded from Alexa to Alexa Plus, and it was definitely a different woman.
A different woman entirely. Well, a different AI. They're not real people.
What?
Well, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
In that blow up doll that you bought. Right. Yeah.
But it's it's a completely different voice.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad I'm not imagining.
It was hard to get used to it. It didn't seem like it had an attitude or anything. And I asked her about it, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I did. This is my new voice."
Oh, okay. At least she admitted.
And then she goes, "I have other voices if you like it. Would you like to hear my perky voice, my cheerful voice?" And then she gave a bunch of different options. And so maybe,
yeah,
you could ask Siri if she could be a little less bitchy.
Can I ask her to paint my house, do something? All right. So, and another story from Variety. I thought this was funny. I have no initial comment about it, but Matt Damon was talking about how Netflix basically orders everybody who creates a drama to describe the plot 3 times or 3 or 4 times in the dialogue to account for viewers being on their phones. And they're doing other things when they're watching this. So you got to explain. And don't ever mention to David Mamet about exposition. He hates that. Somehow you've got to explain what's going on without explaining what's going on. And yet Netflix is saying, no, you got to describe the plot for people 3 or 4 times. That's
the way television got, like in the late 90s, I think is when it started. All the shows is when you came back from the commercial break would describe the entire show that you watched before Do you remember that when they would do that? It was like it's like in the first episode, we wondered if if a baseball fired out of a cannon would rip if the leather would rip off and the seam split.
Okay.
So we built a model cannon, that's the way
so basically they're
would do it.
reprising everything you already saw, and you're saying get on with it already.
Right. It was it was unwatchable for me, and they would do.
Yeah.
And the reason why they would do that is people never watched whole shows. People, when the commercial came on, people would start flipping to something else that would interest them. So they would have to recap what you missed while you were on the other channel. And I think it's kind of now we have to do that because there's phones. Now we have to do that in movies. In the beginning of the movie, if you remember, it's Bill. Do you remember when you escaped from the terrorists by the skin of your teeth?
Yeah. And then you look up from doing the spelling bee on your phone. Oh, they're back right now. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. All right, Tim, I ask you this question every week. I mean, have you caught up on Landman, or are you behind, or
haven't even started it?
So, I mean, do you want to plug your ears for a second? Because I don't know how to handle this, Chris. You tell me. What should we do? I mean, because
well, I'll just take off the headphones here.
All right, and we'll wave to you.
You just wave to me when you want me to come back.
Go suck on that lemon behind you. and I mean it.
Suck on Don Lemon.
He can turn down that assignment, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Well, so all right.
Finally, a good episode. First of all, there was like 4 clunkers in a row. And then this.
Oh, you thought it was a good episode? I got to tell you, the guy that I steal from all the time, John Podhoretz. Mm-hmm. He's a critic, and this guy said it was the best episode of TV he has ever seen, of a TV drama.
No,
I didn't think so. I thought it was good.
Just about any episode of The Sopranos would be better than that, but it was a good episode.
All right, here,
especially because leading up to it, I thought all those episodes leading up to it were becoming just a soap opera at that point.
Right.
Nonsensical things with the mom and Ainsley. It was just getting to the point where we're just trying to stretch this out to 10 episodes. Taylor, hire another writer or something.
Well, here's the thing. Just like when the Native Americans got all the land in Yellowstone at the end, Taylor went mushy between the roommates, her and them, right?
Yes, he gets the whole conservative press to back him up on the episode.
Yeah, and then he
puts
like Lucy Van Pelt, he swipes away the football from us, and we end up flat on our backs. And but that was balanced off a little bit because liberal Rebecca, the attorney, she gives a whooping to the liberal cops. Okay, right? So, I mean, I was thinking, where was she when Jason Van Dyke needed her in the Laquan McDonald case? So, I mean, so the whole episode was about reconciliation. Everybody getting together, and then at the end, you notice there's no cliffhanger, but like you should really have at the end of a season.
Well, the cliffhanger is going to be they're starting this whole company, so season 3 is going to be them launching this company from.
No, I understand, right. And he even says it. They're standing there, at the sunset. And he says, we feel good right now, but you never know what's going to happen. Of course, you never know because you got a whole 10 more episodes.
You still have Andy Garcia and his cartel involved. You still have what's going to happen with Demi Moore. I'm sure they're going to keep that storyline active of what's going on with the company.
And will Michelle Randolph show her navel? I understand that. Meantime, and Tim, you can come back right now. I'm calling you in from the bullpen. So I can't say this. So Billy Bob Thornton has been on all the shows teasing this. I've seen clips of just him there with Carrie Underwood on her show. I've seen him on the Today Show, and I got to tell you, Billy Bob Thornton, I don't think it's really a stretch for him to play that character because he's totally in character. I mean, he talks about, I can't eat certain things, and I really would like to go to Pizza Hut and Long John Silver's when I can. But it's that great voice that he has, that whole attitude, his carriage. So it's just fun to see him being interviewed by the the cute little women on those talk shows.
The joke about Tony Danza was that every character he's always played on a show is always named Tony, because they said is probably because he isn't a good enough actor that if somebody called him Bob that he would respond.
What the hell was that?
Who are you talking to?
You remember that?
Oh.
Did Weird Al come up with the parody "Hold Me Closer"? Tony Danza. I can't remember who came up with that one. All right, now we're going to switch to something else that you probably have no interest in. Did you see that Bears game on Sunday?
I actually did not. I heard it was a good one.
Yeah, well,
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw a bit of it. I was with people.
So the big issue was this play. Well, Caleb Williams came up with this miracle play. It was harder than a Hail Mary. Okay. He backpedals to the 40-yard line, 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage or whatever it was. And three guys are right on top of him. And he just launches one and it's a touchdown, and it gets the Bears back in the game. And it was a miracle. And then within, before
let me how there was like very little time to play, right? It was like that was like the last seconds.
I think did that give the Bears the lead? I can't even remember right now, but it was an absolute miracle.
No, I think it tied it up.
Okay, it tied it, and then they go into overtime, and the Bears get the football, and the Rams had already had the ball. All they needed was a field goal to win, and he inexplicably throws this pass to DJ Moore that it's not to him, it's right into a Ram defender's hands. And so, that was the talk for the next several days. What the heck happened there?
I still believe it's miscommunication. I think there's a lot going on.
Okay, what is this? We're just somebody's interrupting.
We're breaking down your DJ.
Okay,
running the right route.
So, Danny Parkins, this know-it-all sportscaster on the Score, he actually says he had a source on the Bears, and I believe him, who said they had a new route concept and there was confusion there. So let me get this straight. Ben Johnson, who's paid gazillions, DJ Moore, who's paid gazillions, Caleb Williams, who's paid gazillions, they screwed the effing pooch. That's a three-pronged F up, even better than Cody Parkey's double doink, Cujo's, as Michael Jordan would say, and move to Gary right now, Chicago Bears. And I don't hear the anger from the sportscasters. I don't hear it at all. I don't hear it from the late Mike Berman, who lost his job at NBC. I don't hear it from Lou Canellis, who was my intern at one point, who's going to NBC. I don't hear it from the Score guys, whatever. You know why? Because they're just grateful. They're absolutely grateful that the hold on a second. I just lost the time here. We're going to have to splice this together. Hold on. Okay, I got it back again. You may have to splice this. They're just grateful, these sportscasters, for what the Bears did. There's hope for next year. And, Ben Johnson even said, no, we have to start all over again. You bet they do. They were so darn lucky this year with 6 come from behind finishes, the Deus Ex Machina finishes. You know what? I got a little experience. These youngsters, like, Lou Canellis, my intern, they don't understand. And you want to go back to second grade? I just did a few minutes ago with Mrs. Rotman's class. Let me go back, all the way to 5th grade right now. The end of the 1964 baseball season, the White Sox won 9 straight games to finish 1 game behind the New York Yankees for the American League pennant. And that wasn't in the wussy days now where you got playoffs and all kinds of ways to win. You either won the pennant or you didn't get to go to the World Series. That's it. 1 game behind. But, Jack Burkhouse, the White Sox announcer at that point, on the last game of the season, when the White Sox finished 1 game back, he said, you know what? Things are looking bright. Things are looking good. Look at the team that we had this year. Cannot wait for next year. And in my breast, I felt hope. Okay. And I was elated. And you know what? Bricko was right. Because a mere 41 years later, the White Sox won the World Series. Okay. I've had enough of this garbage. But you go and, listen to these sports guys, these shills, whatever. Move to Gary, Bears. That's all I got to say.
I think, well, I said it last week. I'll say it again. I think they should probably be the East Chicago Bears.
There's no problem with that.
Hey,
There's no
Tim,
problem.
as a man on the street reporter in Northwest Indiana, what's the take from that side of the state line?
From what I see, they'd love to have the Bears, but they really don't like the idea of tax money going for it. And I don't see a stadium built without tax money. So
the deal they presented was pretty much taking care of most everything.
What?
Tax wise, they were covering the expenses that Illinois wouldn't, plus more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's coming out of the state budget.
Okay. You don't think that's going to happen in Indiana?
I didn't say it's not going to happen. Because when you get a new stadium, you usually get a Super Bowl, and when you get a Super Bowl, you get Super Bowl tickets. So there's always a gift to give to the legislature somewhere down the road when the stadium's built.
They're like the Chicago sports media. They're on the take somehow.
Sure.
Look at
sure.
So, hey. If you're ever going to fix a game, see, this is what Roger Goodell should have done. You know how Bo Nix, the Denver quarterback's out, and they've got this guy who hasn't played in 2 years. Okay. And he was so bad that he was put in a New England game 6 years ago. Okay. That New England was winning like 30-7. Belichick decided to take Tom Brady out, spell him. Why risk him? The guy threw an interception, I guess, for a TD. Was 30-14. Belichick yanked him out and put Brady back in. I mean, Denver doesn't really have a shot at winning this game. If I were Roger Goodell, and this is the AFC Championship game, I would have reversed the call on that very controversial interception, that what I call the immaculate interception, where the Denver guy just took the ball away from the Buffalo receiver near the end
on the ground. On the ground.
Looks like he was already on the ground, and the next day you see Devontae Adams with his knee down, and that's a catch. I don't even understand it, So I would say Roger Goodell, in the interests of the game, like Bowie Kuhn did, or Kennesaw Mountain Landis for baseball, in the interests of the game, make Buffalo the winner of that game so that you can have Josh Allen face the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Sounds like a modest proposal, no?
Sure, why not?
One name, Bruce, Nick Foles.
Okay, that says it all. I guess. You know what?
I'm going to clip this last 5 minutes and send it over to the Soros.
The Scoros. And here's what I suggest you do. I think all of us should get together with some of our Mexican friends, have some Dos Equis, and watch Josh Allen and the Bills pound the New England Patriots on Sunday. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.